seats. School is now in session.
Homeschooled podcast. Homeschool.
The Homeschool podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to do that at all. Welcome back to Homeschooled Podcast. Hey, everybody. It's me, Augustino Zoida. I'm the host of the Homeschooled Podcast, and my co-host, Kevin Lyons, not in the building today, but here in spirit. So everybody, make sure you give Kevin a shout-out because he does all the technical work on this stuff, so he's here in spirit. And he's at The Real Kev Lyons on Instagram, and I'm at Augustino Zoida across the board. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today, we have a guest returning to the podcast who's been on a couple times before, and it's always great when he's on. We actually had him on not too long ago. I think it was just over the holidays, I want to say, or maybe right after New Year, something like that. Or it might have been right before the New Year. But anyway, so it wasn't too long ago that he was on, but I think it's important to recap with him on a few things, based on what we were talking about in that episode, and I'll elaborate a little bit further in just a minute. But first, just a quick reminder, you guys, that we really appreciate you for supporting this podcast. It's tough times for everybody. I mean, comedians are not immune. No one's immune to the hard times that everyone's dealing with. And, we don't ask for charities. We don't ask for donations because I know you guys got your own bills that you're struggling and worrying about. But if you do have a little extra to spare that you do want to support the podcast, the best way to do it is just by getting a t-shirt or something. That's the best way. If you're not having a financial hardship and you want to support your favorite podcasts, it is the best way just to pick up a t-shirt. We don't ask for donations. I don't want no money. I'm not going to, ask for free money. We do love the support of the podcast by a t-shirt. We also have hoodies and stickers and mugs and other merchandise, and it's all available at the website homeschooledpod.com. So you can head on over to homeschooledpod.com, click on merch, and it's all right there. Listen, I've talked about it a bunch on here, but if you guys are new, I want to let you know we have a very special, unique design logo for the Homeschool Podcast. It's called the Ex-Presidents Series, and you'll know why it's called that once you head over to the website and check it out, because it's a really dope, unique design, and we're going to take it down. It's no longer going to be available once we hit episode 300, and we're getting pretty close. So once we hit episode 300, you will no longer be able to get the Ex-President Series logo. This will allow us to know how long you've been listening to the podcast if you have one of these shirts. Okay, so when we hit 300, there's going to be a whole new design out. So we just want to keep track of how long you've been a listener. So you got to get each edition. Every 100 episodes, we're going to drop a new shirt. So we're getting close to 300. So now's the time to go get your ex-presidents. Also, the the cover of my album is also pretty dope. My comedy album is coming out soon. It's called The Bad Guy, and I'm excited for that to be released very, very, very soon. I'll keep you guys posted on dates. Right now I'm getting emails and stuff from the label company and the distributors that everything's going well, and they're giving me daily updates at everything's going good. So pretty soon I'll be able to have a date for you guys to check out my album. But for now, the cover of my album is pretty cool, and you can support also by picking up either a sticker, a mug, a coffee mug, and I also have a fleece blanket. Actually, there actually might be a sticker. I might be lying to you of the album too. And just go check it out. It's all at homeschooledpod.com. Click on merch, and there's all the merchandise right there. And while you're on the website, you might as well go on over to sponsors, and you can see all the sponsors that support us. That's other ways to support this podcast and hook yourself up with some cool products and services as well, like this one. Personal Chef To Go is a proud sponsor of the Homeschooled Podcast. You guys, Personal Chef To Go. I know you are familiar with services like it, where it's a meal prep service that is delivering meals to your door. Listen, there's some that give you all the ingredients so you can make it yourself at home, and then there's some that they already make it. This is one of the ones where they already make it. It literally is your very own personal chef. Who's better than you? All right, you have your own chef, that emails you each week. Your chef specifically will email you and be like, hey, here's the menu this week, and you choose your menu for the week, okay? There's several different options. You can get a box a week. You can do, the 5 meals. You can just try it once. You can do a couple of months, whatever you want to do. But it's awesome. Your own personal chef emails you a menu. You pick your meals for the week, and it gets delivered to your door already made and pre-packaged. So you're going to have individual packages of these individual meals. So this is perfect for the person who doesn't have time to cook their own stuff, doesn't know how to cook delicious food and healthy food. And it also helps with portion control. I'm just going to real quick read to you guys the menu this week because I got my email this week. And here's the menu this week, all right? Salmon Rockefeller. Let's see what else we got here. Moroccan grilled chicken breasts. Grilled steak chili. Jumbo lemon shrimp saute. Ooh, that sounds good. Stir-fry beef loin. Oven-baked penne lasagna. Grilled shrimp Caesar salad. Mediterranean chicken salad. Fresh catch. I don't even know how to say that kind of fish. But it's Florentine-style cold water cod. You guys, I mean, this is a great menu, and you just marinated shrimp salad. I mean, I'm just getting hungry thinking about it. I personally don't do meat. I'm a pescatarian, so I only do fish. And a lot of these options on the menu here sound good to me. And I'm going to be picking my menu out for the week. So click the link in the description. That's the most important part to make sure that the Homeschool podcast is getting the credit. So click the link in the description and listen. I'm not telling you got to sign up, for a whole subscription for a year or 6 months. Just get one box for the week. Just try it. See how you like it. That's all I'm asking. All right. And thank you for listening to all the sponsors. Like I said, go to homeschoolpod.com so you can click on sponsors and see all the products and services like Masterclass and IDIY Paint, which is another fun thing that you can do while you're stuck at home. Just check it out, you guys. You're helping yourself. You're helping me. You're supporting the podcast. We're supporting the podcast community of up-and-coming struggling comics, struggling more than ever at a time like this. But anyway, enough with the business. Thank you for listening. Like I said, we're going to call in... we're going to call Adam Ferrara. I don't think I actually said who the guest was. We're going to call Adam Ferrara. Last time he was on, we were talking about some interesting things with meditation and with sleep patterns, and I kind of want to check in on him and see how he's doing. So let's give him a call.
Hello?
Mr. Ferrara.
How are you?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. How's things?
Pretty good, man. It's good to hear from you. I was just telling the listeners before we gave you a call, which, by the way, I've been having all my guests call in just as a safety precaution. And it's funny, I always tell them, we're going to be recording already when we call. And I always think it's like when you call somebody and go, hey, you're on speakerphone, you know what I mean? You got to give them that warning.
Well, here's the thing. Italians always presume we're being recorded.
So what's going on, man? How's your day? How's your week?
I've been spending a lot of time at the house lately, Og.
Yeah, yeah, you and everybody else. And how's that going?
Mm-hmm. I'm driving my wife and my dog insane.
Your dog too?
They're planning a coup. Yes.
How do you drive a dog insane?
She's giving me the same look the wife is giving us. Like, you're still here? I thought you go on the road.
Yeah. So normally, how often are you on the road? Like 2 times a month, once a month?
It depends. If I'm shooting something, it depends. Then I'll be there for like if it's 6-8 weeks, depending on how long the shoot is. If I'm home and I'm just on the road, I'll go out. I like to go 2 weeks. I can't stay out as long as I used to, so I'll do 2 weeks a month.
Yeah.
3 if I'm pushing it.
Why can't you stay out as long as you used to? Is it because you got a wife, or you just don't like being on the road anymore?
I don't like being around. I mean, I'd rather be home with my wife and everything, but I still have to be on the road more than I care to do it. I still love doing it. And it's a big part. Stand-up's a big part of my life. But I went out. I was in a band before I was a stand-up, so I was out to get the girl. I got the girl I want. Now I just need enough money to take care of her.
Now you got to keep doing the job.
Yeah, and I'm home and I'm driving everybody crazy because, you know, there's a rhythm to the life when you're a comic and you're on the road. And I screwed up all the rhythm. I'm intruding on them. And I figured it out. God forbid my marriage is never going to end over sex or money. The only thing that possibly might end my marriage is a dimmer switch.
A dimmer switch?
It's driving me insane. She's got a dimmer switch in the bedroom, and the dimmer is on her side of the bed. So if she dims the lights when she gets out, and I turn the lights, I can't see anything. And, you know, I realize I'm a very weird little man. I turn the lights, I want to see. You know, my wife is like, well, I'm creating a mood. Yeah, uncertainty and frustration. That's the mood we're creating.
But does she have it like that all the time in there, or just right before bed?
I don't know. Whenever I turn on, I want to see it dim. I don't know when that happens, but that's what happens. I'm like, son of a, you know.
Yeah. You know what's, I don't know if this is weird about me either, but I don't like, I like all the lights to be on when I'm eating. You know, sometimes my wife really also likes a little mood lighting. She likes it a little dark, and sometimes, you know, we'll be eating dinner. Nowadays, you know, it gets dark like what, 7:30, 8 o'clock. So we'll be eating dinner, and like, you know, in the middle of dinner, it just gets dark, and I want to go turn a light on, and she just wants it off. She says, no, just leave it. And I can't eat in the dark. I like to see what I'm eating.
I usually eat standing up over a sink.
No, you don't. Do you really?
Yeah, for some reason I always eat like I'm robbing the house and have to get out of there. I'll eat with the refrigerator open and the door starts beeping. But yeah, the women, my wife, like, you know, she's setting the mood. I'm like, I'm not here to get my fortune told. I want to see. You know why? It's just turn the lights. I want it like an operating room when I want to see. That's
great. Yeah. I didn't know you were in a band before you did stand-up.
I was a good band.
What did you play?
I was a guitar player.
Okay.
So I could play the beginning of every good bar song.
All right. That's all you need.
Yeah, it was just a guitar band. I think we need 12, 15 songs, and we played Born to Be Wild twice. I think that's what we did.
And how old were you when you started stand-up?
It was like 21, maybe.
Wow. Yeah, I was 20.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were, I remember, I've told you this before, I remember watching your Comedy Central half hour, and this is, you know, before I ever thought about picking up a microphone.
Right.
What year was that? Or how old, do you remember how old you were there?
I forget. I think I did 3 with Comedy Central.
Oh, okay.
I forget when they happen. It's basically, you know, there really was no master plan. You know, you get a call, you want to do a special, and the answer's always yes, and then you start writing. You know,
right.
So you just keep doing it. You know, when you go back and you look at, like, I actually went back not because of the internet. There's people that told stuff with me. I was like, oh, that was a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm. Man, I would always watch stand-up specials, and I remember. I mean, I would watch whoever. I wanted to watch anything, and I remember that Comedy Central would always release some, and I didn't always like the guys on Comedy Central. And then besides that, I just had like this was not really where internet was technically that huge yet. I mean, it was. It just wasn't for me, you know. And I would just watch Comedy Central, whatever specials you can put on, I would just watch. And I remember one day, like, your special came up, and I watched the whole thing, and I just remember thinking, like, "Now that's a good one." And I go, like, I was disappointed because it was only the half-hour special. There was like so many funny bits in there, and if it's a half-hour special with commercials, you're really only getting like 21 minutes of stand-up.
I know exactly what it was. It was 22 minutes because they told me, because I asked them, you know, where's the commercial breaks? You know, because the first special I did was for Comedy Central, so I knew there was going to be commercial breaks. So I figured I'd tailor my set. So I would end my first section I think it was 8 minutes. So at 8 minutes, I knew I needed an applause break at 8 minutes. And when we came back from the commercial, I wanted to open up talking about a whole new bit, because I didn't want them to go to commercial and cut a bit in half. I didn't want to
They would do that. I would hate when they did that.
Well, I got lucky because my first special for Comedy Central was a thing called Lounge Lizards, and we shot it in Vegas. So I did the first one, and for some reason, I come to find out later. But for some reason, I had to reshoot it. There was a technical glitch.
Oh, really?
So when I reshot it the next night, they had to reshoot. It was me and Andy King. So it was a technical glitch. So they said, "Listen, we got to reshoot it. We'll give you this other night to shoot it." And
sorry to interrupt.
Okay, I'll shoot it. But,
did you say you and Andy Kindler?
I think what happened was Andy Kindler and I went. The first night there was a technical issue and it had to be shot again. I don't know if Andy's was on and mine didn't make. I know mine didn't make, but I don't know what happened with Andy. But I know for me, they said, "Look, we apologize. You have to shoot it again." So after I had one under my belt, they wanted like 25, 26 minutes, and I knew they were only going to use 22. Right. So I did the 22 I wanted them to use, and I said goodnight. Because that way they couldn't edit anything.
Yeah. They want the 25, and they're going to edit it down to 22. So you just gave them 22.
Yeah, so I didn't want anyone touching my material, so I did it the way I wanted it to appear with the commercial breaks because they had nothing to cut to.
Did you have a lot of time to prep between the first shooting and then they said, "Hey, we need you to do it again"? Did you have time for the second shooting?
Yeah, I think the first one was the first night, and I think it was a 3-night shoot. So I had about a day or 2 days, at least a day, maybe 2. And I went in and figured, well, this is the way I want it to look. So rather than give them the notes the way I want it to look and say, "Please do this," and then it's out of my control.
Yeah.
I won't give them the stuff to cut to.
Right. And you actually asked them, like, "Hey, where's the commercial breaks?" And they just told you?
Yeah. Yeah, because I told them why I wanted it. I said, "This is what I want to do. I don't want to give you. I don't want you to split a bit in half because that's not good for anybody."
Right.
And I would love to make sure that I end strong with an applause break.
Yeah.
And so I would build the set from the outside in.
That was brilliant, dude. Yeah. I mean, because I remember that was one of the best Comedy Central specials. Because, like I said, I wasn't usually too fond of them. Because, probably because of what you said, they probably cut, wherever they want to cut, and they were always really short. And I remember watching yours and being blown away. And I went on, even though, I wasn't that, internet savvy to where I knew how to go YouTube or anything like that. But I went on Amazon and I looked for your special on DVD. Like that day, and I wanted to. Because I wanted the whole hour, and I went.
Yeah, no, that was it. That's all they shot. That's what it was. And even now, now it's like everyone the consumption is quick. Everything is quick.
Yeah. But you had a special out though, different than that. You had had an hour out, or maybe it wasn't an hour, but you had something like a DVD out.
Yeah, I got the DVD. I think was an hour. I had a DVD called "Funny as Hell." It was an hour.
Yeah, I think that was it. That was the one I had.
Yeah, and the one for Comedy Central, I think, was Comedy Central Presents was a half hour. Lanzo's, it was a half hour. Then I got a bunch of albums out. But yeah, you do these things. It's a nice way to categorize your bits. Because you could do stuff on Letterman, you do stuff on Letterman. Well, like now you do Fallon.
Yeah,
I'm very grateful that I'm still asked to do it, and I enjoy doing it. I had a great time on Corden a little while ago, but it's not like the regular stand-up sets at night. They're not conducive to what I do, because I know how I know how to do it. You get to laugh in the first 10 seconds, and then you have to end. I always like to end. I put my best big applause break joke second to last.
Yeah. Because
the last joke you're going to say goodnight, the band kicks in, so you're going to waste an applause break. So
right.
I make the big laugh, depending on the material I have at the time, and then I'll tag something and say goodnight. And then something will happen. Like I was on court and I was playing with Reggie with the band, so that ate up some time. And then I did this 2-minute bit about anxiety, and it got an applause break in the middle of the bit. So you got to hold for that. So you just got to be able to think on your feet. But the structure is very important when you're presenting comedy, music, with anything.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
When you write a joke, it's too many words.
Yeah.
Too many words to get the idea across.
Yeah, the structure is super important.
You have to have economy of your presentation, both in the preparation of it and in the delivery of it.
But I don't think that there's anyone that has ever said to me what you just said, or I bet you can't even read it in a book about doing comedy, which is something you just learn from experience. What you just said is you would do your applause break joke second to last, because otherwise the music's going to play over the last one. I don't think that that's anything any comic would think about doing his first ever late night appearance. And you know what I mean? You just got that from experience. I mean, did you think of that the first time you were on?
No, but when you're watching guys do it, and I didn't think I just put the set together. First thing is getting the gig, right? So you put your set together to get the gig. So once you get then they come down and they work with you with your set, and then you do this. You're shaping it with the producer.
Yeah.
And then if they're a good producer, and most of them usually are, they say, "Well, how you feeling? What do you think? What's working?" Because they know that. Sometimes jokes work and sometimes don't. So in answer to your question, did I do it my first time out? I don't recall, but quickly after I definitely did it my second time because it's all trial and error. But It's just naturally watching things like, well, you hear the laugh, but then when the band kicks in, if they are going to clap, they're going to clap anyway when you say goodnight.
That's right.
So why burn something? Why just make it a tag that gets a laugh? It's a freebie. So that, to me, in my head, the way my mind works, my father was in the construction business, so I always saw him drawing stuff out, planning stuff out, and I always knew that when you put a wall up, your studs is 16 inches on center, so you have to build the structure in the set for the laughs to carry. So once I found that my best joke was going to be second to last, my biggest laugh was going to be there.
I think that's a great tip.
I would build backwards. Yeah. I
think that's really smart. What are they doing right now? Do you know? I mean, I don't really watch late night at all.
My mom and dad?
No.
My dad's not building anything. What?
No, I mean, late night shows. Like what are they doing right now? Are they still filming in front of no audience?
No, from what I saw, Courtney's at home and everyone's doing Zoom guests. Jimmy's on his couch.
Wow.
I saw Bill Maher was in the backyard. I think Jay was over the house, standing 6 feet apart in the backyard, which I thought was pretty fun.
I was going to say, Jay got out just in time,
Mm-hmm.
He's a smart one. He was like, I'll retire and I'll start a show from my garage, which is where all of you are going to end up anyway.
Yeah, he was great, though. He did my podcast for me, and it was a great episode we had. That's the other thing, is I've been really enjoying being able to talk to people that normally would be like, I'd love to, I'm busy, we got to schedule it, and then you got to come. Like one of the first interviews I did when this hit was with Richard Marks, and he lives in Malibu, and I'm in Santa Monica, so I said, well, come over to the studio. He goes, yeah, we'll have something to eat, and we'll do the podcast. And then when all this hit, he goes, listen, I really want to leave the house. Do you want to do it over Zoom? And I said, yeah, sure. So a lot of my guests now, I just do right over Zoom, and I'm not even wearing pants. So,
it's great, right?
Yeah, I interviewed. I had Anthony Edwards from ER and Top Gun. I spoke to. He was in Connecticut, sitting in his living room, and I was just sitting there.
Wow, that's great. And then while we're on the subject, really quick, your podcast is called. So if people want to go listen to the Jay Leno one and all these ones that you're talking about, tell the people.
It's called the Adam Ferrara Podcast. 30 minutes, you'll never get back. We've had a couple of great episodes up there. Kevin James, Edie Falco, Steve Sharippa, Corolla, Jay Leno, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
The drummer from the Black Crowes, Steve Gorman on. But Jeff Ross is going to be this week. I don't know when this is going to drop, but Jeff Ross is coming up. Anthony Edwards, like I said, from Goose.
Oh, this will be out tonight. Goose. That's another one that you just reminded me. Speaking of Comedy Central specials, they did do a whole hour. Remember, sometimes they would give somebody a whole hour, like that was like a special deal. Kevin James, Sweat the Small Stuff, is still one of my all-time favorites. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that one?
I do. I remember working on it. I remember when he was doing it. Yeah, he was a funny guy. We used to share an apartment together when we first started because we had the same agent, and we didn't have enough time to do college gigs. We were both of college age, but we didn't have enough time to do a whole show on our own. And we were in an improv group together, so we realized we could do the improv games. So our show was we would both go up and do our 20, 25 minutes of stand-up that we had, and then fill the rest of the time with improv and suggestions from the audience. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I mean, obviously, you're both actors. I mean, did improv help for that, or what came first, stand-up or improv and then acting? Like,
stand-up was the first thing I did, and then through the stand-up, there was an improv group that I got into pretty early with Rob Bartlett in Queens. It was a club called Jimmy's Comedy Alley, which was an old bowling alley, which was below street level on Bell Boulevard in Queens. You went downstairs into this giant showroom. And on Wednesday nights, Rob Bartlett had the Back Alley Untouchables, which was an improv group. So I auditioned, and I got in the group. So on Wednesday nights, I would do improv. And then I would go out, and because I had a car, I would work as a stand-up because I was funny, I was on time, and I would pick up the headliners in New York City, driving to these lousy gigs, to the bar gigs in Connecticut and Jersey, and drop them off. So I was very fortunate that I had a day job, so I was always working just to keep the machine moving for stand-up. And then when I came out to L.A. to do, I think it was the Arsenio Hall show or Comic Strip Live.
wow.
I came out to do stand-up on TV, and while I was here, I got a gig on a sitcom. I auditioned, and I got this gig, and I was like, I like this. I like this acting crap. So then I enrolled in school because I figured there's a lot here that I don't know. And that's when I started studying acting while I was doing it all. So they all do kind of feed each other. Acting actually helps you become a better comic once you get past your fear of, I don't want to learn anything. Because my fear is, I don't learn how to act, then I won't be funny anymore.
You were afraid it was going to make you not funny as a stand-up to act?
Yeah, because you're not secure in yourself anyway at that age, and now when you're a stand-up, you're really not. For me, I really didn't know it was funny, and I could write the stuff I was writing, and I was very pleased that got a reaction from the audience. But to be honest with you, I didn't really have the confidence or know that I could do this, so I didn't want to screw anything up. You don't want to jinx anything, and then you don't want to get too cocky when you're good at something. So that's where I was emotionally.
Yeah, I've noticed that you do with acting, you do a wide range of comedy, drama. You do it all. And then of course Kevin James was very, very comedic. Do you think it's like important to have taken an improv class for like comedy acting?
I don't know if the improv, it just helps you think on your feet. I mean, what really helped me as far as improv and stuff is not so much doing the games and stuff, but that's where everyone's going for the laugh. You know, when you're in front of a live audience and you're doing it with a bunch of comics. What helped me was working with Dennis Leary because the script was just a suggestion. So you had to stay. Yeah, when Dennis, we started I was on a cop show with him called The Job. That's the Rescue, the creative force behind it came from that show. As far as the production team and Peter Tolan who wrote it and Jim Serpico, Tom Soletti, Lenny Clark was on that show as well. Diane Farr, who was in the beginning of Rescue, was on that show. I was on that show. So we had a shorthand of how to work, and if Dennis wasn't happy with the scene, he's like, I'm going to come to you with this. Give me 3 beats, and then someone get a laugh and get out of here. And that's how,
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, you were the
you
guy
can't do that
for
on
it.
every set. Some sets are different where you show up and, you got to say every word or the writers get pissed.
So, and then you mentioned you had Edie Falco on your podcast recently. What was that? Just for people, that's for the wife from Sopranos, and she was in Nurse Jackie, which you played her boyfriend, right? In Nurse Jackie.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I had her on, and it was just like talking to my old pal. We just we spoke for about the show's called 30 Minutes You'll Never Get Back. So the interviews that part of the show is a half hour. So I got just to catch up with my friend and she's great. She was another one where I was lucky enough to be on a set with her that was like a family. Rescue was like a family. Nurse Jackie was like a family. Top Gear was like a family. And most sets are because you spend so much time with each other. And the people that don't want to be there usually get weeded out. Especially Top Gear, because Top Gear was a hard show to produce because we're in a desert for 3 days. We're sleeping in back of trucks, or we're going across a glacier in old pickup trucks. So anyone, the crew and us and everybody was like, we were just a team trying to get through this adventure we're doing. So that one was live fire doing that show.
Well, weren't you currently working on a show recently? The thing with the...
Yeah, I was on a show called Why Women Kill on
That's right.
CBS All Access, which is that's CBS's streaming service. which means it's an hour and a half trying to explain it to my mother.
And
it's like, what channel? Oh, it's on the street. What? Augie, it's easier for me to call the actors up and just go over to my mother's house and act it out for her.
But what about so were you in the was that show still going on when this whole thing happened? Like, were you in the middle of filming anything when they shut the production down?
That wrapped. I think they were coming back for another season, but I think the show is like American Horror Story, where it's a new season and a new story.
New actors every season.
Yeah, I was at the Chicago Improv when all this hit, and I remember because what happened was when it first hit, like, well, you got to limit people to 250 people. So Tony, who runs it, said, "Listen, we're going to let 250 in. You still want to do shows?" Yeah, I'm here. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know? So that's where I was when it all hit, and you know, and then you come home, and then here we are. And I call my mother every morning because I'm in California. My mom's still out in Long Island, so I get up every morning. I'm the first one up in the house, and I make coffee. And as the coffee's coming down, I call my mother. So, "Hi, Ma, I love you," and that's pretty much the end of my participation in the competition.
Mm-hmm.
She just goes. She tells me what she ate and what she's defrosting for tomorrow, and then who's dead. So,
at least you get all the who ate stuff. I feel like when I talk to my mom, it's just only the bad news. It's who's.
Yeah, well, I get, you know, Adam, I made a chicken. And I'm defrosting for tomorrow. So I know. So then I know when I call it tomorrow, I can open with the pork chop.
Man, everybody, all the news stations, they give you different numbers, like how many deaths there been, how many cases there are. If you want to know how many deaths there are, call my mom. She has the number. I get the report every morning.
Original Twitter. That was my mother. She was the original Twitter. She'll tell you anything about any. I have information.
But that's good. You know what? You're lucky that you were able to make it through the whole. You did the whole weekend in Chicago. At the Improv.
I flew home Sunday, so Saturday night was the Saturday Night Late Show for the show.
Because at one point they went from, you know, okay, we're only going to do 250, and then I think at one point it went down to like 100, and then it went down to 10, and then I think it's like, and then it went down to like 2 people that are supposed to be together. You know, a maximum, not necessarily at a comedy show. I just mean in general, like gatherings.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the world's gonna look like when this is all over.
I don't know either, man. I think that like a very slow, gradual comeback. I don't think it's gonna be. You know, everybody's waiting for them to say like, "All right, it's over. You can go back now." You know what I mean? And I don't think it's going to be like that.
What? We're used to people being in an audience. There's going to be no audience.
Yeah.
You're walking around.
Yeah.
Are you out walking around, or?
I do walk around.
Yeah, I go for my Save My Marriage walk in the evening.
So alone.
And so I walk. I got the sidewalks here. Here's a phenomenon that's really annoying me. Is you walk down the street, and then if someone makes eye contact with you, they walk to the other side of the street.
Yeah.
And I know it's a pandemic, but I still take that personally. Really? Here's the thing: if they don't like give me the wave, you know, like you would let somebody in traffic to give you a wave and it was okay.
Right.
Like if I didn't get the wave in traffic, I'm like, now I have to run you off the road.
Yes.
Now if I don't get the wave when someone's crossing the street, I follow them.
That's the thing. They do it like with a little bit of attitude, almost like they're bothered that you're in their way, so they have to move. It's like, you know, yeah, you're right. They move to the other side, which like I'm fine if you move to the other side or if you spread out a little bit. But just like when you walk by a wave, I've seen some people in my neighborhood that are like,
look, it's not you. I'm not judging you as a carrier. This is just for me. Give me the wave. So if I don't get the wave, I just follow them.
This is judging your character.
Yes, I want to be the first one to judge you.
I've seen this bring the best out in people. Like all of a sudden, my neighbors are like so friendly, and then I've seen the opposite. I've seen some the other half of my neighbors. They're just like, you know, they don't even want to look at you. They don't want to make eye contact. They look bothered that they had to get out of the way of you. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a pit bull, so I'm used to people crossing the street when they see me.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you know, it's weird. You know, do you walk around the neighborhood with the mask, or you don't do the mask in your neighborhood?
I don't walk around with the mask when I go in the stores. I have the mask with me.
Of course.
I got the gloves with me, right?
Yeah.
So my wife gives me the surgical gloves and the hand sanitizer. So I walk without the mask. Then let's say I got to go in the supermarket. I put the mask on. I put the gloves on. I do what I got to do. I come out, and then I take the gloves off, and then I hand sanitize. I take the mask off, and then I walk right on.
That's what you do. Yeah, you got to wear the mask in the grocery stores. I wear gloves too.
But then when I come home, my wife, I have to wait outside while she comes out and disinfects me like a crop duster.
She does that?
She sprays me down, and I got a little backpack that I put everything in because I'm a grown-ass man. So then she sprays the backpack, gets the stuff out of the backpack, and then she's spraying that. And then I got to go upstairs and take a shower immediately, and I got to hang the clothes outside. We got clothesline hanging outside my old like where I grew up.
Wow.
In Long Island. I got a clothesline in the back.
I grew up with clotheslines.
Sunlight actually kills things, so I hang my jeans over that.
Yeah, sunlight kills it. So just go lay out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is she spraying you with?
Apparently, it's not Lysol. This is fine. This won't hurt you, but it makes her feel better. I don't know. It smells like oranges, and she feels better. So there you go.
Oh, okay. My dad's
it's some
doing
kind of disinfectant that she found online that I'm sure cost way more money than I want to spend on.
Yeah, and China probably made it.
Yeah.
But my dad's got like an old Windex bottle that he emptied out, and he's got it filled with like soap and water. Like that's all it is. It's just soap and water. And when I go over there, he insists that he sprays the bottom of my shoes with it.
Oh, be allowed to wear shoes in the house? I got to take them off.
Well, I mean, if I take him off, he's gonna spray my feet, and I want him spraying my feet. Like he won't. He sprays you down with like soap and water from a Windex bottle. I'm like, I'm not going over there. I mean, I get it. He's older, and he doesn't want to catch it.
All right.
I don't blame him, but I don't know. My dad's like, all he needs is another reason to be paranoid about something. It's like, sometimes I want to tell him. I'm like, if the Corona's not gonna do it, the cigars will. The tequila will. The red meat that you eat. Like if that hasn't taken you out yet.
So your dad's paranoid about this?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, but my dad's an extreme person no matter what it is. Like, we used to have these puppies. My dad, when we were younger, we were kids, my dad would, I don't know what you call them, breeders. When you breed dogs and you sell the puppies. So my dad was one of these breeders, and he was always constantly paranoid with the puppies catching some kind of airborne disease because they could die like before they got their shots. So my dad would back then was spraying our shoes. He would pour bleach on the concrete outside and make you step in it before you came in the house. This was like not a good thing for him because he just takes it to the extreme.
Oh, okay. So he's like he's already set the conditions like. He was nuts before this.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, not nuts, but like other kind, a little paranoid. He's a paranoid person. I mean, it's no secret I was homeschooled my entire life. It's fair to say that my parents, especially my father, is a little paranoid, I would say.
Right.
And I mean, with this, he's not wrong. I mean, if you're going to be paranoid about something, be fine. Be paranoid about this, and regardless of what you think is really going on in the world or how contagious it really is, it's like, hey, better safe than sorry. He's doing the right thing. I'm not mad at him.
Yeah, especially at his age. I'm sure he's an older dude, so he's at risk.
I mean, he's 61 or 62 years old. He's not like that old, but I mean, he's not necessarily very healthy either. And I always, and I get on him. I'm just like, this whole time you didn't want to get healthy for anything else. Like you didn't want to stop eating the fatty foods. You didn't want to stop smoking the cigars, but now you're worried about dying because of some virus. It just, it doesn't.
Oh, my father smoked Lucky Strikes. He did. With no filter. And I said, Pop, at least smoke some with a filter. He's like, the filter's bad for you. There's chemicals in there. This is natural.
Yeah. That sounds about right. They're funny guys, though. You know what I mean? It's like...
How close does your father live to you?
Oh, pretty damn close.
Okay, so there you go. I mean, that's the way I grew up. Everybody was... I'm here in California. Everyone was back on Long Island, and that's where... but when I was growing up, everybody was close by. My uncle was on the South Shore now, which was 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we were all around. And I kind of like that. Because my house growing up, my house was like, there was always a pot of sauce on the stove. There was always food, and there was always things going on late at night because my brothers are in the restaurant business, and I started doing stand up. So midnight, there's food.
Yeah,
lights are on, and people would come by. My house was that house.
It sounds like a great house.
Yeah, it was fun. That's part of the reason I started the podcast was because I wanted to capture I wanted to capture that feeling when I was a kid. The best night's sleeps I ever got was when I was upstairs and I hear my mom and dad and their friends downstairs laughing. So that's what I wanted to do with my podcast, was capture that feeling. So I started the show with me, my wife, and my two friends. We'll talk about a topic that connects to the one-on-one interview I do with the celebrity. And then, like any group of friends, we talk about it when they leave. So then we do another 10 minutes afterwards.
That's so great, yeah. Man, I know what you're talking about. I grew up in a house like that, especially my grandmother's house. Late night, there was always people up. There was always food going. And, what happened to that? I don't know. I don't know if you can blame it on California as much as you can blame it on people changed. I mean, maybe men changed. Like, my father ran the house. I'm sure your father ran the house. Like, right now, I feel like more women run the house. Like, guys are just like, listen, whatever she says goes. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, that's not. I don't think that's a new occurrence. Your father was the man of the house, but he didn't run the house. He didn't know where anything was. Now, you know how my father used to find stuff in the house? Honey, that was it.
Yeah, I just feel like if I had friends over like at 2:00 in the morning or even midnight, hey honey, the buddies are gonna come over, we're gonna eat. She might be okay with it like the first time, but if it happened like every Sunday, I think there might be a problem.
But I don't think that's gender specific.
Yeah.
I think really, how long is this going on?
I've talked about doing something for a couple of years now, and we never did it. I've talked about it with Jimmy Schubert, Steve Simone. Do you know Steve Simone?
I know Steve's name. I don't think we've ever met.
Okay, we got to get you guys together to do each other's podcast. He's such a great guy, and even still to this day, I mean, since he's quarantined, all he does is cook. He's an Italian guy from Philly, and you got to see his Instagram. It's just, you want to go over to his house and eat everything he makes. But anyway, I've been talking about it with him, Uncle Joey, and Jimmy Schubert. We've been talking about, like, hey, you know what? We should get a thing going Sundays. We all come over each other's house. Everybody brings something. Comics should, like old Italian families used to do. Like, we should do something like that. And we've always talked about it, and we never did it. And I think that now this whole thing has put a lot of things into perspective. It's like, appreciating things, I mean, who knows if we'll ever even get a chance to do that again, for us all to get in the same house and not be afraid that we're going to die. So it's like, I'm not taking anything for granted anymore, Yeah,
that's the thing. And the other thing I noticed here is when you talk about taking things for granted, is also realizing what you got. I mean, my wife, I see how hard she works now that I'm here every day. I see what she does, and I see how much she's supporting what I want to do. And I'm like the Grinch at the end of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, when his heart grows 10 sizes too larger. You remember that scene?
Yeah.
So I have that, and I have that appreciation of how lucky I am for my wife. But with that awareness and vulnerability, I also am aware of the fragility of human life, and there's a disease at the door. So I got that too.
That's totally you, though. That's how your brain works. Like,
grateful and terrified. Welcome.
Finally grateful for everything you have in your life, and you're like, oh, great. Well, now it's all going to be gone in a second. Oh, man. Yeah, man. I was just talking to my wife this last weekend. I go kayaking.
Right.
And there's a place I can go kayaking right now where I used to go, and I just recently went and looked it up, and they said, like, hey, due to the COVID update, we've been closed for a while, but we're open now, just limiting to X amount of people, and, you can't go fishing and all these rules. So I go, okay, I'm going to go kayaking. You put your mask on, you load your kayak into the water, and then once you paddle far enough away from the dock, you can take your mask off, right? You're not near nobody. You're out in the middle of the ocean. So I've been doing that, and it's great. And I'm like pedaling around, and when you at one point you can go down to, I don't know what you call it, like a marina, or I don't know, but you're pedaling down, and there's all these homes that are just, their backyard is the water, right? and it's nothing but homes, and they all got their boats tied up and stuff, and I'm pedaling. I put on music. I pack a little cooler of beers with me on the kayak. I mean, after being stuck in the house for a couple of months now, almost 2 months now, it felt fucking amazing, Adam. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, it felt like heaven. I didn't want to go back. And it was the sunshine, you're out there on the water. And then my wife goes like, looking at the houses and looking at all the people with their boats and stuff, and she's like, look at these guys, they live out here on the water. She's like, these lucky bastards. And I was like, you know what? I said to her, I go, I feel so lucky right now. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I feel like incredibly I'm a lucky person. Like there's people that aren't out here right now. There's people that don't even live anywhere near something like this that they have access to. I got a kayak. Sure, I don't have a yacht. But I got a kayak, and I can, it doesn't cost me anything to throw it in the back of my Jeep and drive it down there and just throw it on the water. Like, and a couple beers, some music, and the sun is out. It's like, I feel incredibly lucky, and I have a whole new outlook on a lot of things of how fortunate we are. If we never go back to stand-up comedy, it would be a shame. Obviously, live performance is one of the most amazing things on the planet. But on the other hand, I'm very fortunate to have had 11 years doing that, a career. I've gotten to open for some really cool people such as yourself. I've gotten to headline some clubs. I've gotten to travel. I mean, we're a part of an amazing thing. So, I mean, obviously we're going to go back. I think it's going to take some time for us to get back to where we were. But even if it never does, I'm truly thankful for the opportunities. I've had a great life, and I'm young yet,
Okay, well, let's back up to I was with you the entire way until you said I had a great life. Let's take that sentence out. Because I know where you're sitting right now, Ork. You're in the garage. All I picture is the car idling and you fashioning a hose to the exhaust.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. No, yeah. Look, God gave us all the time out. Go home.
Yeah. And I don't you're right. I don't want to say make it seem like my life is over or like I had a good life or anything like that. What I am saying though is that I've spent a good part of my life, especially as a stand-up comedian. I think you go through this a lot, focusing on things that you want and that you don't have yet. I think that's a big part of becoming a comic.
Yeah, it's a big part of human nature. I mean, I found that part of I get anxiety, I get depression, I get a lot of that crap. So it's all about focusing on stuff that you don't have and you have to go get. That's like the subtext of that is there's salvation in the future. Mm-hmm. I'm coming from lack. I don't have it. I have to go out and get something. And that's when you look at, because when you're younger, when I was younger, I look at it as a goal. I have to reach my goal. I have to go get this. I think the shift that kind of really came home with all this COVID stuff is now I'm looking at things rather than achievement as discovery. Because if it changes to discovery, it's like, oh, it's already here and I haven't noticed it yet. Yeah. Because I can't go out and go and get, I have to find what's here, and I think that's what helped me.
Yeah, I've been doing it, man. I've been just focusing on being happy on what I got, enjoying it. I mean, you can always look at somebody else and compare. You should never compare to anybody else, but it's human nature, like you said, to do and focus on what you don't have and what you want. It's like, I mean, I started comedy, I was 20. You started when you were 20, but by the time you were my age, you had 3 Comedy Central specials out already. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's never good to compare, but it's human nature. And that's totally the stand-up comic is just how come I don't have that? I want to be where that guy is. Your whole career is that.
I'll be watching something on TV and we'll go to a movie and I'll see somebody I know, and then me and my wife now play this game. He's working,
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
One of the most depressing things for me is to realize how old people were. I'm 31 years old now, and now I go back and watch some old stuff, old comedies, even going and watching old episodes of King of Queens, with your buddy Kevin James. I go and look, I'm like, oh man, he's so funny. And when you're a kid, he seems so much older than you. But now that I'm 31 and I think about it, I'm like, Kevin James was 30 when he did those. He's my age. It's it's depressing,
Well, yeah, no, now when I go, even when I get the emails of people that want to be on the podcast with me or people I want to talk to, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I can talk. I want to talk to, Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh is 66 70-something years old. He's 70 years old, you know? I'm like, he's not getting up.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I wanted to check in on with you with, because the last time you were on my podcast...
He's 72. I just Googled him. Joe Walsh is 72 years old.
But in your mind, he was always like, what to you when you were younger?
In my mind, he was high in the James gang.
Hilarious.
Yeah. But
No.
if you Google him now, he's still be 72 years old. Joe Walsh isn't supposed to be that old.
You know, yeah, and I'm sitting there, but everybody has peaks at different times. I mean, like, look at Joe Diaz, right? Like, I mean, he like in his 50s, all of a sudden he blew up. You know what I mean? I mean, and I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that Cosby was like in his late 40s when he blew up. You know? I mean,
Yeah, well, it didn't end well.
It did not end well. It didn't. I mean, that kid was doing stand up at 19 years old, Cosby, and like he didn't get famous until his late 40s. I mean, or even early 50s.
Dangerfield was like 56. Rodney was, you know, he had to grow into that act.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some of these guys, you know, these people watch, you know, some of your favorites, whether they're actors or comedians, and you don't realize, you know, you knew them famous, but you don't realize like how long they've been at it. And hopefully someday someone's talking about me like that. Be like, oh man, that guy started when he was 20, you know?
Yeah. We just keep doing what we do. And it's like Joey Diaz is a great example. He's so funny and steeped into the act he's doing. I mean, I was listening to his podcast the other day. And he said something. I was listening to it on my phone, and I was like, "Oh, thank you for saying that, Joey." Like,
I'll bet you I know what it is.
To pay attention to life, you know. I'm like,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You're not going to listen to that message coming from a kid in his 20s.
It's so true, man. Yeah, I think that's he's a great example. I'm drawing a blank. I was going to ask you something else, but anyway, I'll cut to the other thing I was going to ask you, because the last time you were on my podcast,
the carbon dioxide forming. Like, get out of the garage.
Yeah, you've been in here. No, I was going to ask you, the last time that you were in here, you know, we talked about meditation and how you have a hard time sleeping and stuff. And then the other day on the phone, you and I were talking about, you know, now most of the world is having a hard time sleeping and having really vivid dreams ever since all of this. But you seem to be doing all right.
Yeah, I drink a lot now. So
no, you don't. Do you really?
I'm kidding.
Oh, because
I'm kidding. No, it's just actually what happened. I think what happened was, and again, because of the circumstances that we're all facing, it is so pervasive and it's everywhere, and it's so it was nobody's fault. And I think the switch that went off in my head was I always self-blame and I always take responsibility. You know, being codependent in this much. Just even though my crazy making machine can take credit for this. You know.
Yeah.
This is even in my twisted logic. Oh, don't think it didn't try. My mind actually tried, because when I was leaving the Improv in Chicago, I remember thinking, I just want to go home. I want to spend more time with my wife. I meant series regular. I didn't mean global pandemic.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I think what happened to me why I'm sleeping a little bit better than I used to before this was there's a certain amount of surrender that, like, well, what are you going to do? Just throwing your hands up at what's before us. And, you know, because no one knows what's going to go on. So everyone, I think, is in this uncertainty. And I think the way I processed all this shit was like, all right, I think I just found the freedom and being totally fucked. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad, man, because I know that you struggle with it. I remember the first time I talked to you in the green room, I remember talking about how you have trouble sleeping. And then you know, and we've talked about it a couple of times. And this last time you were on the podcast, we talked about it. So I'm glad that this is working for you.
Oh, I still wake up pissed off and terrified, but at least I'm sleeping. You know, that first initial wave of sleep is getting longer. So that's one thing I know.
Oh, okay.
Pretty cool. And you know what my wife got me that was great?
What's that?
That dopey weighted blanket.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So just a regular one? It's just called the
I'm talking about the weighted blanket?
I've heard of it. It's just called the weighted blanket. So what about it helps you sleep?
No idea. But I do remember when I was a kid, my great-grandmother she would knit. She would make blankets, and they were so heavy. Whenever I would sleep over like my grandmother's house, she made the blanket and she put it over me, and it was just so heavy, and I slept so good. And that feeling came back to me when my wife said, "I found this. I think it'll help you." And that feeling just came back to me. There's something about it calms the anxiety. I don't know what it does or how it calms the anxiety. Maybe you go back to being an infant, you're being swaddled.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Something holding you, or like, because I know what you mean. Yeah, my grandmother always had those heavy blankets too. So like maybe it is some kind of nostalgia or something. But you don't get hot?
No, it was fine. She gave me the weighted blanket, and I was like, okay, I guess this is helping. I'll take it.
Hey, maybe I'll try. I mean, I get pretty hot though easily. I don't know. I'll try it though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I didn't know. Oh, I came home, she had it, we tried it, and I went, this is great.
I kept seeing them pop up in like the Instagram feeds, like, weighted blankets, you got to try it and all this stuff. So yeah, maybe I should check it out. Oh, I just remember what I was going to ask you before we get out of here, because before what we were talking about, do you know Ray Romano well?
I know Ray. I haven't seen him in a long time, but why, you got to borrow money or something?
No. No, because I have met him a couple of times. I mean, not that he would not remember who I was if he asked him, but I saw him one time when we were hiking, and he said something to me, and this just pertains to what we were talking about before. He said something to me while we were hiking that just always kind of stuck with me, and I was really feeling down at the time, and I was hiking over here in Fryman in Studio City, and I saw him hiking over there, and it was a coincidence. I happened to be listening to his special on my iPod. It was actually on shuffle, and I had his special, like the album, downloaded. So one of his tracks came on, and I was sitting there walking, and I saw him walking, and I I don't normally like to bother people, but I went up to him. I go, "You're not gonna believe this." I'm listening to your album right now. It just came on, and we just started talking about like stand up and stuff, and then we just kept hiking together. He seems to be like happy to talk stand up with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking, and I was telling him, like, oh, man, like about what we were saying. Like, I wish I was further along. Like, I wish I had this. I wish I had that. And all this stuff. And he just told me, he was like, man, like, I started when I was, like, I think he was, like, in his 40s or something. And he was just like, he's like, dude, when you're young. Like, you're at your age, you already have done a lot more than I have. And he's like, and it's not fair to compare. And he's like, one day, you're gonna be maybe even bigger than I am. He's like, you started younger. Like when I was your age, I wasn't even thinking about any of the stuff that you're thinking about. You know what I mean? And it kind of put a little pep in my step for a little while, especially coming from him. And then it just popped in my head right now because we were talking about wishing you had more, and you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't compare to anything because everybody's story is different. I mean, I think he was saying he lived with his mother. He lived in his mother's house until I think he was 39 or 40 years old or something.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, you got to give yourself a break when you do that, because that's the way the human mind is conditioned. We're conditioned to identify by comparing. We're conditioned to identify by an understanding and an articulation. The uncertainty is jarring for a human being.
Yeah.
And so uncertainty is something the mind will struggle to find a solution to by fragmenting, by breaking things down into understandable bites. But uncertainty is also where possibilities exist. So the great advance I found in my own kind of, lack of a better word, serenity, and my own kind of inner peace is just to be comfortable in uncertainty, to work. Now, don't try and find an answer. Don't try and push away the feelings you get. Just realize, here they are. How am I going to deal with it? It's like, most people, when they start meditating, they're like, well, let that go. But if you let something go, it means that you're waiting for it to leave, and it pushes you into future thinking. If you change the words "let it go" to "loosen your grip," which means it's something you can actively do right now in the present moment. That thought I had about that guy, that thought I had about what that means, just loosen your grip on your idea of what that means and what your mind is doing. And if you do that after a while, you learn how to coexist with stuff that's not going away anyway. It just, the edges get dull, and you see other options surrounding it rather than the patterns and the reactions that are triggered from it up until then. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's
good. Now take the hose out of your mouth and turn the car off.
No, man, that's a great way to look at it. that's that's gonna stay with me too. You're right. That's good advice. Until then, I'm just I'm definitely learning to just be happy with symbolically my kayak in a in a sea of everybody in their yachts.
Yeah, just keep rowing at your own pace, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's just and you're not unique in this situation. That's what happens. That's the way the mind goes. And that's how you get discouraged, and that's how you get bitter, and that's how you get jealousy, and that's how nobody needs it. I mean, it's there. It's how you're going to deal with it.
It's certainly
knowing that that's the way it works.
This is like made everybody think in terms of like you said, like this isn't happening to me. I'm not a unique situation here. We're kind of all. This has really brought everybody together. Like we're all going through the same fears, worries, uncertainty. We're all financial crisis. We're all kind of going through it. Mm-hmm. We're not unique at all.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe this will serve as a unifying force to heed the advice given to us by our better angels. I hope so. I mean, I see it out here. I see people being very respectful and waiting on line and go ahead, you go, and just taking the time and getting through it. And I always talk to the people at the checkout. Hey, how you doing? How's your day? Fine. They usually don't look up. Now you just see the eyes, and they're smiling, and they're eager to share. So I think people are trying to make the most of it.
Yeah.
These people I'm coming in contact with.
Yeah. No, yeah, I have seen a few. You're right. It's great. If anything.
And who knows? It could all go to shit tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. Like, it really could all go to shit tomorrow. So, I mean, you might as well enjoy yourself today or make the best of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man. Well, thank you for calling in. I'm glad to hear you're doing well.
Always good to talk to you, my friend. I always like being with you. Thank you for having me on. It's a great podcast, and I want to say hi to your audience. And thank you. I got a lot of nice emails last time I was on, and people were checking out my show as well. So I thank you for having me on.
Oh, great. Perfect. Awesome. So, and then just one more time, it's Adam Ferrara, 30 Minutes You'll Never Get Back. That's the name of his podcast. Obviously got a lot of great guests. And then on social media, on Instagram,
It's at Adam Ferrara on all social media. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you guys for supporting Ogie, and thank you guys for checking me out. And if you have it, wash it twice.
That's good advice. All right. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it, man.
Be well, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye. That was the phone call with Adam Ferrara, which I think went great. I had a great time talking to him. He always makes me laugh, and not only that, he has a great insight on things. Not that I think that he's ever trying to, give motivational advice to anybody or anything like that. I just think that he kind of goes through his own things, and I know that meditation has really helped him, and I think that his insights and he's obviously been going through it a lot longer and found more answers and things that work, and I love that when he shares them. So yeah, guys, make sure that you hit him up and let him know that the Homeschooled podcast rolls deep, and we got a lot of love and support here. And check out his podcast, and just if you have any questions for him, or you want to give any feedback about this episode, or more about comedy or meditation or his career, just fun stories, make sure you hit him up and tell him that the Homeschooled podcast sent you and send some love. And we're all supporting each other, and we are in this together. I know that it's almost become a cliche to say we're in this together. There's hashtags, there's writing it and skyscrapers. We're into this together. But listen, it's become a joke. But it truly is not a joke. It is real. You're not unique. You're feeling the same emotions that everybody else is. It's okay, and we truly are in this together. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be, that we're all going to find solutions, or we're all going to live and survive it together. I mean, just be comfortable with the uncertainty, and we're all going through the same things. And if we can help, let's help. If we can be friendly, let's be friendlier. And, patient and get through it. Anyway, great conversation with Adam Ferrara. I absolutely love having that guy on, and I absolutely love having you guys here. I want to give a big thank you to my co-host Kevin Lyons for all his hard work. Even though he's not here, he's here in the technical side. And I want to give a big thank you to Adam Ferrara for calling in and always giving me his time, no questions asked. He's a good dude. And to his wife and family for allowing us to borrow him for a little while. And I want to give a big thank you to you, the Homeschooled podcast listeners, for continuing to come back here and listen to us as we document the journey. I'm Augustino Zoida, and I'll see you guys next time. Homeschooled podcast.
Homeschool.
The Homeschool Podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to do that at all.